So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Come Up podcast. We are celebrating the Suffolk University Days of Giving, and we are lucky enough to be joined by our super alum, Morgan Robb. Thank you again for joining us.
My pleasure.
Of course. My name is Maggie Jackson.
And I'm Clarissa Lagasse.
And I'm Sammy Tadero.
And we're a part of Suffolk in the Hub as the digital marketing directors. And we would love just to let you introduce yourself, Morgan, and kind of just give a little brief overview of yourself and some things that you'd like to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I graduated from Suffolk in 2019 with a degree in marketing and a minor in information systems. While I was at Suffolk, I did a multitude of things. I was a trustee ambassador in the undergraduate admissions office. I served on the Honors Advisory Council in the Sawyer Business School. I was in the Journey Leadership Program. And then most notably, I was in the Student Government Association, serving from class of 2019 senator all the way up to student body president my senior year.
That's amazing. Definitely have a substantial amount of experience from Suffolk University. So we are just curious on, I know you were involved a lot and it seems like you really enjoyed the atmosphere, but overall, how did you like Suffolk University, and do you have any big memorable aspects of your time there that you really reflect on and still admire to this day?
Yeah, absolutely. Suffolk was and is largely important to me and who I am and who I became while I was there. From the moment I stepped onto campus, as I'm sure you all remember, as an 17-year-old looking for colleges, just completely terrified. I felt a sense of calm at Suffolk that I didn't feel anywhere else. And so that really just assured me that it was the right choice. And then probably every single day that I was a student at Suffolk, that decision was reassured. Even on the hard days, even on the days where life is hard and classes are difficult, I just always felt supported by everyone around me, whether that be my classmates, faculty, staff, administration. I just made such wonderful relationships with every single person I came across that Suffolk is still important to me, and it's why I stay involved. I don't think I can choose one specific moment or one specific thing that was really, or that still stands out to me as being the most impactful or the favorite time. I would say that my senior year as a whole, just was probably one of the best years of my life. It was a time where I just felt really secure in what I was doing and the decisions I was making for myself. And, I'm just really grateful for that time.
I agree. Senior year is definitely on the track to big time career goals. And again, thank you for that. So going off a little bit, I know you're a marketer, and we would love to know how the classes at Suffolk really attributed to your degree and career in marketing, and if there are any useful skills or knowledge that you learned at Suffolk that are definitely still utilized today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came into Suffolk actually as a management major, and I thought I was going to have plans to go to law school. And I started school and I was like, wow, 7 total years of this. No thanks. So I was kind of first semester, all right, well, we'll figure it out. And I took my first marketing course, spring of my freshman year, with Professor Lori LeDuc, and it just completely changed my trajectory. Marketing prior to that class was something that never crossed my mind. When I thought of business, I thought of management and accounting and finance. And the marketing world just allowed me to be challenged in ways, such as analytics, but also still have a human connection, which I really appreciated. So some days in the marketing world, I can hide behind my computer, and other days, I can turn on that social aspect, just really just hits all of my personalities and what I want to do. But like the reason that I have loved my career so much is because of what Suffolk gave me and how Suffolk prepared me for it. And it's really interesting because like in my day to day, I wouldn't necessarily say that the things I'm doing or the way I'm working is exactly related to specific classes, but in general, it's the way I do things and why I've been successful is because of how Suffolk prepared me for my career. So, and this is the same for most career paths and many jobs, but you'll get on the job training. So the specific technical skills aren't necessarily always necessary. And that those are just two words said the same way, but like you will learn how to use different softwares. You will learn how to, work within teams on the job, but the communication abilities, the ability to understand concepts, and just larger trends in the marketing world and recognize things as they're happening is concepts that you learn in classes. And that has been really important in my career is the ability to still be a student. And when something comes around, like not be afraid to dive in and try to figure out the root cause of something, not be afraid of data, which even though it still is really scary, just, sitting down and being like, all right, well, we need to figure this out, is something that, group projects and coursework really prepared me for.
So reflecting back on your time at Suffolk, did you happen to have any mentors? And if so, why did you think it was important for them to continue to be a mentor to you and pass on their knowledge from the workforce to current students?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And one of my biggest mentors is probably a mentor to all three of you, and that's Kim Ring. I started working for Kim in December of 2017. And I got my job with her because the UFC was coming to town and she needed hands on fight night. And then all of a sudden it turned into not only like a 2-year internship, but incredible friendships, incredible mentorships, not just with her, but her business partner, and other people she knows throughout the city, throughout marketing. And that was, I just took her class. Like I had just known what an awesome personality she was, what a great professor she was. And it turned into probably one of the most important professional and personal relationships that I got out of Suffolk. I still see her, still talk to her, still obviously involved, as that's how I know the three of you. So she is probably one of the brightest spots in my career journey from Suffolk. But I would also say that goes for a lot of my marketing professors. She's the one who had a job opening when I was looking. But all of my marketing professors, especially during the time, like I could go like show up at their office for any reason. And it was really impactful for me because I wasn't the type to come to professors like all the time. It was only if I needed something specific. And that's just the type of person I am, is I won't ask unless like I truly like can't figure it out by myself. And knowing that they were there for that was really helpful.
So I know you probably worked on some really exciting marketing campaigns at Ringcom. Can you share with us any particularly successful marketing campaigns you've been a part of and why you think they were so successful?
Yeah, absolutely. Ringcom came with a lot of fun, especially at the time. The first 4 events I worked for her were all celebrity related events, which was terrifying and exciting and thrilling all at the same time. But I think some of my favorite marketing campaigns I worked on have actually been professionally. And one in particular, when I was at my last job, which was at a digital marketing agency, and I was there for 3.5 years, was actually an email campaign. So this client, they had been a client of the agency's for over 10 years. They are a lead gen based medical client. So their entire business is just based on their web form and phone calls. That's how they generate money and customers, is just by people filling out their form. And for many years, their email marketing business was just severely underutilized. They just didn't know how to drive users to convert via email. And it's not that they weren't driving users, they were driving users, but they were emailing the same group of people repeatedly. So what I was able to do with them is help them build email campaigns and an ongoing marketing campaigns. So like users would enter a funnel when they first signed up for our emails, and then when they first entered. So basically they had a very interesting concept where once users were within their database, they would be sort of constantly contacted. And we just changed this criteria to make it so once users had stopped engaging with us, they went through a re-engagement funnel. And all of this was just really successful in terms of attracting new people that was essentially free to the company. They had already been paying for their CRM platform, but by engaging with users where they were at, whether that be unengaged, whether that be them visiting certain pages on the website, it just completely transformed the way they were able to engage their audience and the way that we got the client to think about marketing. They were just sort of the type of people that did the same thing all the time without wanting to put in any sort of additional effort and without knowing it was going to pay off. So we were able to show them that by trying new things, by utilizing the technology you're already paying for, would definitely pay off.
So I know marketing can definitely come with some challenges sometimes. So we were wondering if you can tell us about a particular challenging project or any obstacles you faced in your career and how you've approached it or overcame it.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest challenge I think I've ever faced in my career, I'm actually facing right now. So last summer, I made the jump to go from an agency to an internal marketing department. And I made the change from a 50-person company to a 55,000 person company. So it's like been a massive culture shock for me. But now I'm working in an e-commerce role with Amazon, and with the marketing technologies I'm used to working with, we have an account rep. There is a way to get help and support, and that doesn't exist with Amazon. You're sort of like left to your own device. And if you can ever get a hold of a human, it's a miracle. And typically they're not helpful. They just want you to pay them more money. So I'm like struggling big time right now because we have a lot of inventory that we need to sell. We really need to grow this business. We're facing pressure from everyone involved. And I've tried everything and have just not gotten approvals to do the things we need to do from Amazon. So I have internal approvals. We want to pay Amazon, but Amazon's just their algorithm is just completely resistant to you doing anything that falls slightly outside those bounds, but they don't tell you what those bounds are. So it's just a different challenge than I've ever had to face. There's always been workarounds when you have an account rep. There's always been someone willing to help you, and entering a bigger marketplace and a bigger arena essentially has just proved that like there are less people willing to help, and you're sort of either going to fail or somehow figure out a miracle. And I'm just waiting for that miracle.
Well, we definitely wish you luck on that front. Is there any advice that you would give to somebody who's just starting out in their marketing career, and what do you wish that you had known when you had first started?
My advice to anyone just starting out in their career is to continue learning. Don't stop just because you're out of school and you have a job that with like clearly defined responsibilities or unclearly defined responsibilities. That's something I learned in my first job was if there's a knowledge gap somewhere, there is no reason why you should not be the one to fill that knowledge gap. At the time at that company, it was much smaller than it is today. And there were times where there just wasn't people to do something we needed to do. And so I learned how to do it. And I became that person for numerous technologies we worked with, for numerous things we did for our clients, where I was the expert because when the need originally came up, I was the one who had the time to go dig in and learn how to do it. And that made me pretty valuable to that company, and that was greatly appreciated. And I knew that, and it gave me a huge sense of purpose in my career. And the one thing, though, that I wish that I had known and I didn't know at that job was boundaries, especially as our landscape changed in COVID. I had like decent boundaries starting off in my career, and then the world was flipped upside our head. I was living in my bedroom in my apartment and working and like barely going anywhere, and it just became really unhealthy for me. And that was something, though, that I did in college, and I just lived and breathed everything, every role I had in school, whether it was jobs on campus, internships, it was all wrapped into one. And I did things when I had the time to do them or when I sort of felt like doing them in college. And then I continued that on. So I would work late or I would get up early and work. And that over time, that became really negative for me. And I think that I just didn't take enough time in starting my career to make that mind shift. It became, okay, this is what I'm doing now, without ever putting in other things that I wanted to do in my life. I didn't pick up hobbies. I didn't make time for other things. Work was what I was doing. And that became really harmful to me. And so I needed to relearn that of work is what I do for X number of hours a day and X number of hours a week. And that can change. You know, sometimes there are days where I work longer, but now I make up for it. And Fridays I'll log off early, or there are some weeks that require more out of you, and that's totally okay. But you still need to recognize that you're putting in that time and take that break when you need it. I was like averse to vacations for a long time, and I just, come back from that and be like, nope, I get these times off and I'm taking it. I am paid for 40 hours a week. And if I work more, fine, but that I'm going to do what the work needs to get done. And then I'm moving on at the end of the day. And that has been a huge help in my mental health. I would largely subscribe to the like grinding mentality. And like truly believe like, oh, if my schedule is not filled up, then I'm not doing enough. But now, like, if my schedule is filled up, like there's a problem and something needs to drop off.
That's great. I really, really loved all of that. Finally, could you tell us about any exciting projects or initiatives you are currently working on and what you hope to achieve with them? You touched on this a little bit already, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, work is one of them, but something else that I've been involved in from my time at Suffolk. So one thing I didn't mention that I did in school was I participated in an alternative spring break and an alternative winter break. My senior year, I traveled to Cambodia for 2 weeks with the Center for Community Engagement on an alternative winter break. And pretty much since I graduated, I was put in contact with the director of a school that we visited in Cambodia. And it was started by people here in Cambridge, Mass. So since that summer of 2019, I have been on the board of directors of that school. And that's something that is really important to me, but doesn't always require a lot of time. So it's something that I, as a goal for myself, have wanted to put more effort in to grow the school, to grow our my gifts to them in any way that I can to just support a cause that was really impactful to me. And I really appreciated my time there. And an eventual long-term goal is to get back to Cambodia to visit the school again.
I love that. I know a lot of people who've done ASB and have really, really, really loved it. I'm glad that you're still continuing to do that. It's great. Well, that concludes our questions. Thank you so much for joining us, Morgan. We have loved hearing about your experiences at Suffolk and everything beyond. We will be sure to include your LinkedIn in the description, so feel free to check that out and see what she's been up to. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll get you all time on the come up.
So, thank you.